Very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha Television, bringing you the top national, international, sports and business news. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor. Let us start with the headlines. 2 terrorists killed in an encounter in Sopore in North Kashmir. They were holed up in a house, after which forces launched a search operation. Prime Minister arrives in Russia to hold the 18th annual bilateral summit with President Putin. In Spain, calls for united approach to fight terror. Growth slows to 3-year low of 7.1%. 8 core sector growth declines to 2.5% in April. Death toll in Kabul suicide bombing climbs to 90, over 400 injured. World leaders condemn attack as Afghan government points fingers at the Haqqani network. And ICC Champions Trophy kickstarts today with England taking on Bangladesh in the first match of the tournament. First, our big story coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. 2 terrorists have been killed in an encounter that broke out between security forces and militants holed up in a house in Sopore in Kashmir's Baramulla district. The police say that the security forces launched a cordon and search operation in Natipura area of Sopore early today after receiving information about the presence of militants there. The encounter comes barely a week after Sabzar Bhatt, Burhan Wani's successor, was gunned down and 6 other militants were killed in a separate incident. Well, we'll continue tracking all those developments from Jammu and Kashmir. Meanwhile, in a latest series of developments related to cattle sale ban, the Kerala High Court on Wednesday declined to entertain a PIL seeking quashing of the notification of centre banning sale and purchase of cattle for slaughter. The court observed that there was no constitutional violation in the rules. It observed that its interference in the notification of centre was not warranted. The bench could not see any prohibition in selling and consumption of beef in the notification. The Kerala High Court's observation came a day after the Madras High Court's Madurai bench stayed for 4 weeks the centre's notification on 2 PILs. Meanwhile, in a related development, Justice Mahesh Chand Sharma, a Rajasthan High Court judge, asked the state government's BJP government to take necessary steps to get a cow declared the national animal. He has also asked the centre to ensure that the slaughterers were punished with imprisonment for life.
കേന്ദ്ര സർക്കാർ ഒരു വിജ്ഞാപനം പുറപ്പെടുവിച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അതിൽ ദ പ്രിവെൻഷൻ ഓഫ് ക്രൂവൽറ്റി ടു ആനിമൽസ് റെഗുലേഷൻ ഓഫ് ലൈവ് സ്റ്റോക്ക് മാർക്കറ്റ്സ് റൂൾസ് 2017 ഇതാണ് അവരുടെ വിജ്ഞാപനം. കന്നുകാലി ചന്തകളുടെ പ്രവർത്തനത്തിന്മേൽ നിയന്ത്രണങ്ങൾ കൊണ്ടുവരിക എന്നതാണ്.
So the present High Court order itself is a clear evidence for exposing the anti-people attitude of the CPM and Congress. It is a blow to them, and also they should come forward to say the reality before the public.
सहानुभूति, आस्था और धर्म तीनों चीज जुड़े हुए हैं. इसलिए गाय का संरक्षण करना, ये गाय का उसका अच्छी तरह पोषण करना, ये सरकार का कर्तव्य भी है, आपका भी है, हमारा भी है, सब व्यक्ति का कर्तव्य है.
And in related news, on Wednesday in Chennai, 9 students of IIT Madras were booked for allegedly assaulting a PhD scholar for taking part in an anti-beef ban protest. The official action was prompted by huge protests that took place at the college yesterday by students. Here are more details.
Scores of students, including pro-left student bodies, being detained by Chennai police. They were protesting outside IIT Madras against the attack on a PhD scholar who participated in a beef fest earlier this week. Suraj R., a research student, was allegedly attacked by a group of students affiliated to right-wing group ABVP at IIT Madras on Tuesday. He was one of about 80 students who had gathered 2 days ago to discuss the centre's order on cow slaughter and ate beef during the protest.
Around 8 of them, they came, they surrounded Suraj, inquired about his personal details, and they actually hit him. Couple of them actually took his hands, and one of the guy actually hit him, The issue was that he have taken beef on Sunday.
The Beef Fest was organized to protest against the centre's new cattle rules, which the students say infringe on their right to eat what they want. DMK's M.K. Stalin also led about 300 workers in a protest against the centre's order and courted arrest this morning in Chennai. Similar protests have also been held in Kerala and Karnataka as well, with the support of various opposition leaders.
I am happy and I am acknowledging the decision of the Madras High Court that they have banned the decision of the of the Government of India. Making these kinds of decisions, the central government must take into consideration the state.
इस तरीके की वाद विवाद खड़े कर रही है सरकार खुद और उनके मतलब आरएसएस के जितने भी संगठन हैं, और अब ये सरकार कहना कि हम तय करेंगे भाई कौन क्या खाएगा, ये मंजूर नहीं है देश की जनता को। अब ये इस तरीके की घटनाएं जो हुई इसकी तो घोर निंदा करते हैं हम।
Following the student protests at IIT Madras, authorities have ordered an inquiry, while the Madras High Court has put the new rules on hold in Tamil Nadu for a month, seeking a response of the centre and the state. Union Minister Venkaiah Naidu had on Tuesday said that the centre would duly examine the issues raised by the states and trade organizations on the new regulations, while reports claim that the Environment Ministry may change the definition of cattle in its new rules to exclude buffaloes. Several BJP leaders, though, continue to stand by the order.
ये वही लोग बवाल मचा रहे हैं जो वोट के सौदागर। कभी कांग्रेस के नेता दो बैलों का जोड़ा और बछड़ों का, गाय और बछड़ू, कभी गौहत्या को लेकर के कानून, और आज कांग्रेस कार्यालय के समक्ष मुसलमानों का दिल जीतने के लिए गौ की हत्या और बीफ फेस्टिवल, ये अब नहीं चलेगा।
West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and Kerala counterpart P. Vijayan have been the most vocal against the new rules. On Wednesday, Tripura too joined the protesting states, saying that it will not implement the centre's new cattle trade and slaughter rules, describing them as anti-people. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to the other big story of the day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Russia on the third leg of his four-nation visit. Now, on arrival at St. Petersburg, the Prime Minister tweeted, "Looking forward to a fruitful visit aimed at cementing India-Russia relations." The Prime Minister will hold the 18th annual bilateral summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Prime Minister also wrote an op-ed in the Russian paper on 70 years of India-Russia relations. A host of agreements are lined up to be signed by both the sides, but all eyes are on a deal to build the two last units of India's largest nuclear plant, the Kudamkulam plant, with Russia's help. The two sides are expected to ink 12 agreements in wide-ranging sectors as well, including in science and technology, railways, cultural exchanges and other business areas, in addition to a vision statement that the two leaders will release. The Prime Minister will also attend the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, which is a business event. And earlier, India and Spain decided to cooperate on fight against terrorism and curb terrorist finance and money laundering. A crucial country in Europe and close to Africa is strategically important for India, not only economically, but also politically, for a balancing act in a new emerging world order after Chinese muscle flexing in the name of One Belt, One Road. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi spent a full day on Wednesday in the European country talking to various levels of leadership to strengthen the bilateral relationship.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday held extensive talks with the President of Spain, Mariano Rajoy Brey, on issues of mutual interest and global stability. 7 agreements were signed between the two sides. The agreements included transfer of sentenced persons, MOUs on organ transplantation, cybersecurity, renewable energy, technical cooperation in civil aviation, visa waiver for diplomatic passports, and collaboration between diplomatic institutes. However, both leaders also expressed interest in cooperation in areas apart from the present agreements.
हर प्रकार की अमानवीय चुनौतियों के बीच भी हर देश में आर्थिक विकास की प्राथमिक जिम्मेदारी होती है। राष्ट्रपति जी ने स्पेन के अंदर आर्थिक क्षेत्र में अनेक रिफॉर्म किए हैं। नेक्स्ट जनरेशन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ग्लोबल बेंचमार्क के साथ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर अपग्रेडेशन, रेलवे एक्सपांशन, रेलवे अपग्रेडेशन, स्मार्ट सिटीज, ऐसे अनेक क्षेत्र हैं जिसके अंदर भारत है। भारत इतना बड़ा देश है कि इस विकास की ऊंचाई में बहुत सारा अवकाश स्पेन के लिए भी भारत में आर्थिक गतिविधि के लिए है और मैं स्पेन को निमंत्रण देता हूँ।
En el ámbito político, de seguridad, económica, científicas y tecnológicas.
हम दोनों अभी एक समझौता पे हस्ताक्षर करेंगे और उसमें इकोनॉमिक और साइंस।
The post-Brexit scenario in Europe was also a major agenda of discussion between the two leaders. They dwelt on how to utilize the opportunity which not just favors both countries but also strengthens the European Union. India sees it as a great opportunity to develop ties with major European powers while the disillusionment over Trump and his policies continue.
प्रेसिडेंट राहुल एक बहुत ही दीर्घदृष्टा नेता है, उनका गहरा अनुभव है और अपने आदर्शों और उसूलों पर वो बहुत ही कमिटेड है। यूरोप में किस प्रकार की चुनौतियां हैं, मानव जात को किस प्रकार की चुनौतियां हैं, ऐसी स्थिति में उनके साथ मिल बैठ करके हम और भी विषयों पर चर्चा करेंगे।
Both leaders also expressed the need to continue cooperation on issues related to UN reforms and other international bodies, especially on terrorism. In the last few years, a realization has grown across Europe about the importance of India when it comes to fighting terrorism.
दुनिया का कोई भूभाग आतंकवाद की आफत से बचा नहीं है। आए दिन आतंकवाद की घटनाओं की खबरें आती रहती हैं। आतंकवाद मानवता सामने एक चुनौती है। स्पेन ने और भारत ने दोनों ने आतंकवाद के परिणाम देखे हैं, बहुत कुछ सहन किया है और आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई लड़ने में राष्ट्रपति जो हैं बड़े ही मक्कम हैं।
Prime Minister Modi also called on the King of Spain, Philip VI, in Madrid. Later, he also met Spanish business leaders to seek investment for India.
He asked them specifically to relook at India, to have a new look at India, to have a new look at the new India, which is emerging out of the government's thrust for economic reforms and transformation. So I think the visit and the interaction with the CEOs in particular focused on the economic opportunities, and it has, I think, contributed, and we will see the results in future, very positive outcomes of promoting business and commercial interaction between the two countries.
The Prime Minister wrapped up his Spain visit saying significant ground has been covered and that the ties between the two countries are set to grow that will benefit people on both sides. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And news from the national capital. On Wednesday, the Delhi Assembly passed the State Goods and Services Tax Bill amid concerns over higher tax rates and inflation. Now led by Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, the ruling party MLAs also passed a resolution demanding that higher slabs of 18% and 28% under GST should be done away with, and instead the tax rate should be fixed at a maximum of 10%. Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia assured the House that he would raise these concerns at the next GST Council's meeting on 3rd of June. The GST Council has stepped up efforts to ensure the rollout of the new tax regime happens as per schedule on 1st of July this year. The 3rd of June of the GST Council in Delhi is likely to draw up the final rollout procedures.
GST हमें लगता है कि इस देश का एक तरह से सबसे बड़ा टैक्स रिफॉर्म है और काफ़ी शंकाएं जाहिर कर रहे हैं, और अब हम सब लोगों की जिम्मेदारी है, केंद्र सरकार की भी, सभी राज्य सरकारों की, सभी वित्त मंत्रियों की, सबको मिलके इसको इम्प्लीमेंटेशन को लेके जो शंकाएं हैं उनको दूर करने की, इसको स्मूथ इसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हो, ऐसा हमें एफर्ट्स करने चाहिए.
And bad news really for the Indian economy, because demonetization has hit economic growth in the financial year 2016-17. It has slowed down to 7.1%, with the growth for the fourth quarter of the year falling sharply to 6.1%. Now, this is the lowest annual GDP growth rate in 3 years. It was 6.1% in January to March quarter, the immediate 3 months after the note ban. The growth of 8 core sectors has also declined to 2.5% in April. The growth rate of 8 infrastructure sectors, coal, crude oil, natural gas, refinery products, fertilizers, steel, cement and electricity was 8.7% in April last year. As per the government data released on Wednesday, coal, crude oil and cement production recorded negative growth. Now, growth in refinery products and electricity output slowed down by 0.2% and 4.7% in April. However, natural gas, fertilizers and steel reported positive growth at 2%, 6.2% and 9.3% respectively. And for more news from across the country, let's go nationwide. Petrol will be costlier by 1.23 rupees per litre, while diesel price will be higher by 89 paise. Announcing the price hike, Indian Oil Corporation said that rates have been hiked excluding the local state levies or VAT, and actual increase will be higher depending on tax rates. Delhi University has revised its online registration schedule for undergraduation, post-graduation, MPhil and PhD programs this year. Registration will be completely online beginning from 7th of June and completing on 20th of June. The details of registration process and subsequent procedure will be available in the information bulletin. Putting an end to the controversy over his death, the government has said Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose died in an air crash in 1945. The Ministry of Home Affairs said in a reply to an RTI application from a Kolkata resident. Netaji's family, however, has rejected the reply and has demanded setting up of a special investigation team to unravel the mystery of Netaji's disappearance. And now an update on the Sukhoi crash. Well, 2 pilots of the Sukhoi jet that crashed after taking off from Tezpur in Assam suffered fatal injuries, according to the Indian Air Force. The statement came out 5 days after the wreckage of the plane was found. According to the Indian Air Force, squadron leader D. Pankaj and flight lieutenant S. Achudev could not initiate ejection from the plane's cockpit before the crash that occurred 60 kilometers from Tezpur Air Base on 23rd of May. The mortal remains have been brought to the Indian Air Force base in Tezpur. Now, the wreckage of the Sukhoi 30 jet was found on the 26th of May in a dense forest area in Arunachal Pradesh after a 3-day search operation. The plane had taken off from Tezpur Air Base and it had gone off the radar during a routine training mission as part of a 2-aircraft formation. Meanwhile, the Indian Air Force has ordered a court of inquiry to investigate the cause of the accident. Now, the results for the Union Public Service Commission or the UPSC Civil Service examination conducted in 2016 were declared on Wednesday. Nandini KR from Karnataka has topped the prestigious examination. Nandini, who is an officer of the Indian Revenue Service, is at present undergoing training at the National Academy of Customs, Excise and Narcotics in Faridabad. The second position has been secured by Anmol Sher Singh Bedi, an engineering graduate in computer science from BITS Pilani. The third position was secured by G. Ronhanki. The 25 top candidates comprise of 18 men and 7 women. According to the results, 1,099 candidates have been recommended for appointment to various central government services. They include 44 physically challenged candidates as well.
Thank you so much for your wishes, and it's a very happy moment for me. It was always my target, and in the second attempt I just gave, and then in that I got IRS, and after that I always thought that I have to give my fullest of efforts. So now I am realizing my dream.
Of course, I think in the front end मैं work कर रहा था, but my family played a very important role in the back end. They continued to support me. I've not worked as hard as people do because they spend 3 to 4 years for preparation.
Now an update on Cyclone Mora and the after effects of the cyclone continue to impact the various regions in India as well as the neighbouring Bangladesh. The cyclone, accompanied by heavy showers and strong winds, has lashed northeastern states of Mizoram and Manipur, inundating roads and sparking fears of floods in the region. In Mizoram, several houses were damaged and power and telecommunication network was disrupted. Landslides were also reported from many places. In Manipur's capital Imphal, there were flash floods. However, local residents used sandbags to create temporary barriers. The Indian Navy has kept its ships on standby with relief material. The Navy has also sailed with the relief materials for Bangladesh and is running humanitarian assistance disaster relief operations there. Cyclone Mora made a landfall in Bangladesh on Tuesday, killing at least 6 people and causing large-scale damage to infrastructure there.
Present condition, like there is no way that it's going down. It's rising up, the water level is in there, and if the rate continues, the cyclone continues, we are likely to face a lot worse than this.
Meanwhile, the death toll in Sri Lanka's floods has climbed to 202, with the 94 people still missing in the country's worst torrential rains since 2003. The floods have displaced nearly 500,000 people there. Water levels in Kaluganga and the Ginganga rivers are reported to be decreasing. The weather has begun to clear, and many of more than 1 lakh people who were earlier evacuated over the weekend have returned to their homes. More than 80,000, however, are still in relief camps as their homes were either destroyed or totally wiped out. Now, Indian naval divers and medical teams continue to rescue people in Lanka's flood-hit regions. Many other countries are also helping. Foreign aid has started to arrive at the Colombo port. Now, Sri Lanka's Minister for Disaster Management says that the emergency services were making all the efforts to speed up relief for those affected.
දැන් තියෙන සාහන සැලසීම වේගවත් කිරීම. ඒ වේගවත් කිරීම අපි බාර අරගෙන අද ඉඳලා අපි වැඩ කටයුතු කරනවා.
As far as HADR, we are involved in 2 operations for the last 4 days in south of Sri Lanka. At the moment, we have 2 ships deployed there, and they're continuing to help the Sri Lankan government and the Sri Lankan Navy in the HADR operations.
Big story coming in from the United States, where President Donald Trump is expected to withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement. Reports say that the decision is likely to be announced this week itself. Now, Trump told reporters as he met with Vietnam's Prime Minister in the Oval Office that he would announce his intentions on the accord very soon. Now, if the US does withdraw from the deal, it would reflect a major reversal of the Obama administration's efforts on climate change. The precise mechanism for withdrawal, however, has not been determined. Meanwhile, Chinese and EU leaders are to agree on a joint statement on the Paris Climate Agreement, saying that it is an imperative more important than ever. A draft of the document stresses the highest political commitment to implement the deal. It will be seen as a rebuff to the United States. The joint statement will be published on Friday after a summit in Brussels. Meanwhile, European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker cautioned the United States that quitting the Paris Climate Agreement was not going to be a straightforward process. Experts also say that if the US backtracks, it could trigger further efforts to erode the landmark climate accord. Well, 90 people were killed and nearly 463 were injured in a suicide attack in Kabul on Wednesday. The area where the explosion took place is close to the presidential palace and also several foreign embassies, including India's. However, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj confirmed that the Indian officials were unhurt. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, President Pranab Mukherjee and Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari condemned the attack. 90 civilians, including foreign nationals employed at various embassies, were killed in an earthquake-like massive explosion which ripped through Kabul's high-security diplomatic enclave during morning rush hour on Wednesday. The blast caused by a truck bomb struck close to the German embassy in Zanbaq Square, injuring at least 463 people. The explosion was so powerful that it damaged windows and doors hundreds of meters from the blast area.
و این خساری است که شما می‌بینید که پیش از حد گفتن هم می‌تونیم که بسیار کالایمون پرید و همکارمون مل در شفاخانه است و این رقم انتحاری ما نیده چیزی ولی تو وحشتناک عمل
وقت شد که ما داخل دفتر یک چند لحظه پیش شده بودیم که در شعبه شیشته بودیم که یک دفعه انفجار شد. انفجار شد رفتیم تو پایان دویدیم در استودیو مکمل هم استودیو سر همکارای ما چپه شده بود.
دفتر که ناستیم بس کلا دایم تحری وشو زين پوه نشدم خپل د میز لاندې سر کو شیشه سر مې ولګېده د شیشه ولګېده ډېر زیات کسان زوبر شو
من سر میز کار خود بودم که یک صدای بسیار بد هیبت آمد و دیگه نپوهیدم. وقتی که بسر شدم پس دیدم که از زیر میز افتادیم و از جلوم خون می‌ریخت.
No group has so far claimed responsibility, but officials say it was triggered by 1,500 kilograms of explosives hidden inside a sewage tanker. German Chancellor Angela Merkel expressed horror.
Wir alle stehen heute unter dem Eindruck eines verheerenden und mörderischen Bombenanschlags in unmittelbarer Nähe der deutschen Botschaft in Kabul. Möglicherweise 80 Tote sind zu beklagen. Unzählige Menschen sind verletzt worden. Meine Gedanken und meine Anteilnahme gelten den Opfern dieses Anschlags und ihren Familien. In Momenten wie diesen wird
The bomb went off 100 meters from the Indian embassy, causing damage to the building. However, the External Affairs Ministry confirmed that all officials working in the embassy were safe. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, President Pranab Mukherjee and Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari condemned the attack. The president said this kind of senseless violence cannot be justified under any circumstance. The vice president called it a crime against humanity. China, France and Turkey also said that their embassy personnel had not been hurt.
事件表示强烈的谴责，对受伤人员和遇难者家属表示诚挚的慰问。中方反对一切形式的恐怖主义，我们愿与阿方以及国际社会一道共同打击恐怖主义。那么，根据我们的了解，
patlayan bombanın şiddetiyle bizim büyükelçilik binamızda da hasar meydana geldi. Ama çok şükür herhangi bir yaralı yok. Sadece bu hasardan dolayı düşen bir tahta bir yerel personelimizin üzerine düşmüştür.
Afghan President Ashraf Ghani termed the bombing a war crime, while Afghanistan's intelligence agency blamed the Taliban-allied Haqqani network for the attack. Meanwhile, lights were switched off at Paris's Eiffel Tower just before midnight in honor of the victims. As per reports, the blast at the start of the holy month of Ramadan was the deadliest attack in Kabul since 2001. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And finally, some cricket news. The eight-nation ICC Champions Trophy will kick-start from today in England. Defending champions India, Australia and hosts England are favourites to win the tournament this year. England will take on Bangladesh in the first game of the tournament before the much-awaited India-Pakistan clash on 4th of June.
The world's top 8 cricketing nations are all set to lock horns in the Champions Trophy, which begins on Thursday. The 50-over tournament, which was held after 4 years, is being held in England this year. While defending champions India and Australia are being pegged as the top contenders for the title, hosts England are being touted as favourites this year. After a series of good performances in the 50-over format, the hosts will kickstart the tournament against Bangladesh in London on Thursday. The teams have been divided in 2 groups, with Australia, Bangladesh, England and New Zealand in Group A, while arch rivals India and Pakistan have been put in Group B, along with top-ranked South Africa and Sri Lanka. India have been the most successful team in the tournament with a win percent of 71.42. The men in blue have won the tournament twice, first time jointly with Sri Lanka in 2002 and then in 2013. This time too, the Indian side looks good after winning their 2 warm-up games with comfortable ease. The defending champions will kickstart their campaign against Pakistan on June 4th at the Edgbaston in a much-anticipated match. They will next take on Sri Lanka on June 8th at the Oval, before facing world number 1 side South Africa at the same venue in their final group game. Former champions West Indies will be missed this year as they failed to qualify for the tournament. The top 2 teams from both the groups will make it to the semi-finals, where they will battle it out for the final, which will be held at the Oval on June 18th. The tournament, which is known as the Mini World Cup, started in 1998. It was initially held after a gap of every 2 years, but after 2006 the gap was increased to 4 years. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
That's all in this news bulletin. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.